Oh, oh,
It uses the same 914. Okay.
mhm. Good morning. Can you hear me, Orit?
I can.
Ah, good. Okay.
Don't record yet. Turn off the recording.
It is
or
recording
pause. Just
and
pause the
they're gonna-
recording.
I don't know how to pause it. Okay.
Oh,
She just said, don't worry about the recording. They will edit it so that it
Okay.
starts. With the start.
okay.
You look
Good
beautiful.
morning.
Good morning. You got all dolled up.
Just lipstick. I figured after failure and lots going on here.
Yeah, well, I just looked at the email that Rena walked me through this very quickly. And I looked at the email and I can't figure out from her instructions.
Hold on one second. Okay. Yes, I'm with you.
I can't find the prompt that that I'm supposed to use to spotlight.
Can I tell you something? Karen,
Yeah,
okay, Tove, first of all, hi.
book error.
I'm gonna have to close the background. If people, spotlighting just means that they get to see her, right? So I will just let people know, if you want to see a D in big, just click on speaker. That's it.
Right. How are things going up there?
I'm amazed that I said okay to doing this while a D, just a second, this is a D. Hi, are you trying to get online? Are you trying to connect? Because we're Karen and I and Diamond. Good morning, Diamond. Boker Tov. Are on. Do you want to get on?
Okay,
You look cute. Just, help me out if I need to suddenly disappear, like right now.
Okay,
I'm just gonna close the blinds in the other room.
okay. Adi? Boker, Tzoraim Tovim, Adi. Hi, Adi. You are on mute. Ah, there we go. Hi.
I'm here.
Hello. Now you are sideways for us.
Right. That's just how this tripod that I borrowed is made. Maybe I can turn it.
Ah,
Oh, I
ah. That's good.
can.
That's better. Hi, Adi.
Yes.
I don't know if I can do it, but this tripod is meant for like, oh, okay, all right. You got it.
Adi?
Whatever. Yeah.
Can you turn off the light that's behind you? The big circular light? Let's see.
I was saying, Karen.
I think it'll still be okay. Turn the one back on that you just turned off, not the one all the way in the back.
No, turn. Oh,
This one, like this.
It'll be okay.
I mean, listen, I don't have a studio yet, so
Karen, this is Adi. This is Karen, and Diamond is off screen, but both Karen and Diamond Adi are chair people of the Israel Connection Committee. So I'm going to introduce the committee, and then I'm going to introduce you, and then you take it away, and we'll ask you different questions during the program. Is that okay?
yeah, for sure.
Okay, just let me know when it's too many questions, okay?
Okay, no, you can ask away. I don't mind.
Thank you very much for doing this, Adi.
Of course.
Greatly appreciated. Now, I'm not sure if you actually volunteered or if you were voluntold.
Karen made that up.
That's a funny
No, I
word.
didn't. I got it from somebody else. I don't know.
Oh, okay. For me, you made that up.
No, I volunteered. Why not?
I asked her, yes, right? Okay, this is in honor of Adi said I could put on this music to get us in the mood of Mizrahi Shakshuka.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just Adi recommended this singer. Can you hear it?
A little bit, yeah. Good morning, Molly.
Hi, Molly. Hi, Adora. Hi, Michael. I love Adi. Adi, do you need anything from us before we
What?
wait more people? Do you need anything from me or from us?
I don't think so.
Adora, do you need anything from me or from us before we? Nice to see you. All right, I'm gonna welcome everyone. You guys can sit for a little bit. We're not going to start cooking right away. I'm going to wait till a few, or I'm going to wait. What time should we wait till, Karen?
Well, according to my clock, it's 10:26.
Right.
So I would say we're waiting at least 5 minutes.
Right. Okay. Adora cooks in Vermont. So just type in the chat where you're from. I was going to ask that in a few minutes. And see. Okay. So while we're waiting and the chef's setting up, we'll listen to Omer Adam. פגשה אחד גבר גבר ורז'ל והייתי חש לו, מה הייתי חש לו, קח אותי על הגמל אני עוד יהודי, you're my beast welcome to the Middle East תל אביב, יא חביבי תל אביב תסתכל כמה לירדי מסביב עושים לי היי היי בלילה וואי וואי וסחטן על תל אביב
Good morning, Adiz Safta.
Hi, Adi. Thank you for cooking with us.
Some Mizrahi music for your listening pleasure, as per Chef Adi's recommendation.
Good morning, Adiz Safta.
I don't know if Safta heard. Did you hear?
She said good morning.
Adi Safta.
To you specifically.
Oh, this Masa. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Yeah, great day to be here.
Thank you for joining us and
Hi,
lending
Edna.
us your daughter
To
and your
celebrate
granddaughter.
Shakshuka.
Did you hear Adora said hi, Edna?
You look like a dog.
Adora's right there.
Oh my God, Sahot
My hair, I have COVID hair.
looks great. I like long hair.
It's called COVID hair, she said.
Yeah.
Hi, Michael.
Ah, sure. Now I know. He doesn't have long hair, so I can recognize it. So thank you for all the drishat shalom that you sent me.
The regards.
She knows what drishat shalom is, I'm sure.
Miss Pearl. There.
Hi, Mocha. Hi, Chagai. Please let us know where you're joining us from in the chat box.
Handful. Half a handful.
Adi, I love the song. Hi, Malka and or Bruce. Feel free to clap your hands, dance. Hi, Jeej. If you need a morning shoulder movement. Adi, you don't dance before you cook? Hi, Jeej. If you're gonna say.
Right.
Thank you.
That's it. Which broccoli? Broccoli or kale?
Parsley.
Fresh pick.
Parsley.
But maybe it should be chopped already.
Welcome, everybody.
Maybe chopped already.
If you're just joining us, please let us know where you're joining us from in the chat, so we know how many continents we've reached today.
Here, geez. Here, geez.
Yeah.
Khalid, is anyone else with you? Just you? Molly's not, Ellie's not there? Okay.
Marie, people one by one are joining us, so maybe we'll wait 1 or 2 more minutes.
Sure. I'm going to put the song on again because I love the song. Thanks, Adi.
Okay.
Oh, if you're joining us, welcome. Bruchim habayim. Hi, Susan. This is music for your listening pleasure while you sign in. Please check in the chat if you know how to use it, and just let us know where you're joining from, and make yourself comfortable. Feel free to dance, shake your shoulders, take a few breaths, stretch, and we'll start in a few minutes.
מרגישה שנפתח לה מזל, פגשה אחד גבר גבר ורשל, והיא תלחש לו, מה היא תלחש לו, קח אותי על הגמל. I'm your beauty, you're my beast, welcome to the Middle East. תל אביב, יא חביבי תל אביב, תסתכל כמה לידי מסביב, עושים לי היי היי, בלילה וואי וואי, וסחטיין על תל אביב. תל אביב, יא חביבי תל אביב, תסתכל כמה לידי מסביב, עושים לי היי היי, בלילה וואי וואי, וסחטיין על תל אביב.
Welcome, everybody. We're going to start in just a few minutes. Enjoy this Mizrahi music. Please check the chat box and let us know where you're joining us from. Welcome, Susan. Welcome, Hagai, Khalid, Cheryl, Altan, or Ruth, Len. We'll be starting in just a couple of minutes. Yes, hon?
Marie, I think we should start. Oh, somebody else is here. Ah, Shana.
I imagine people will be joining slowly on this sunny or cloudy or rainy morning. So, Bruchim habayim. Welcome, everybody. I'm doing my best to be as technological as I can this morning. Okay. So if you haven't yet typed in the chat where you're joining us from, please do so. And is this anybody's first time on Zoom? No? Okay, so just I just thought, first of all, Bruchim Habayim, welcome. I'm here, Orit, with my Ima and maybe my Abba, Saba, Adi Saba will be joining us soon. So welcome, and maybe others will be joining us as well. Karen, did you want to say anything before I continue?
Well, on behalf of the Israel Connection Committee, we'd like to welcome you to our inaugural program for the year. We have a few exciting things lined up, and we're thrilled to have Adi Golan joining us from Israel, from her apartment in Tel Aviv, is it?
Give
Are
it,
you in Tel Aviv, Adi?
you have to unmute, Didi.
Near Tel Aviv, Givatayim.
Givatayim. Okay.
Mhm.
I am going to put myself on mute. If you have questions, why don't you please type them in chat. And if it's something that needs an immediate response, I'll kind of interrupt the program. Is that okay, Orit, Adi?
Yeah, I had a few more things I wanted to say, a little promo here. So welcome everyone, Bruchim Habayim. I see people from our synagogue, Adat Shalom in Bethesda, Maryland. And this Israel Connection Committee is housed online this year and last year through Bethesda. And our goals are to do everything or anything related to Israel. Karen and Diamond are our chair people. I'm on the committee. Bruce Kutnick is on it, as well as Chaya Richmond and Paula Eibloom. And last year we did a whole bunch of programs online with our shlichim. We did a program on Israeli movies and television. We're hoping to do that again this year. And of course, celebrate, someone said, you know, the Yom Yoms, Yom Ha'atzmaut, Yom HaZikaron, Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Day, Memorial Day, and Israel's Independence Day. And as Karen said, this is our first program. Adi, thank you for volunteering to do this first one. And then the next one will be in January. Maybe we'll watch a movie together and other programs. If you have any ideas or you'd like to join our committee, please email Karen or myself. And we hope to end today's program by noon. If you would like to see a D in a large screen only, just click on the top of your screen onto speaker, since hopefully she'll be the only one unmuted while she's leading and teaching us. And I just wanted to, and if you have any questions, either raise your hand like this or raise your hand with the feature at the bottom of your computer. I too, as Adi's Ima, I'm honored to introduce Adi. This idea came about in a hotel in Kingston, Ontario in September when she was visiting us. And we had our first Israel Connection Committee meeting. Adi was next to me and I asked her, hey, would you do a cooking program? And she said, sure. So, so here it is. For those of you who don't know, Adi is Chagai and my firstborn. As I was reflecting on this cooking program, I was thinking about Adi used to eat only brown and beige and white foods. And then sometimes she turned into a foodie and a food creator and a food and wine shopper and a hostess at a wonderful restaurant in Rockville, Maryland. And then moving to Israel, maybe she'll tell you a little bit how she got there. She's working at an upscale restaurant, and she was also a caterer assistant to a good friend of ours in Rockville. She loves to eat good food and cook good food for her friends and for her family, and today for all of us. So Adi, take it away and let's begin. And let us even know why you picked Shakshuka to teach us today. So enjoy and b'teavon, bon appetit.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Okay, so today we're doing shakshuka, which I picked basically because it's really easy and it's like really kind of like an impressive dish to make for yourself, for your family, whatever. It's also really easy. Just a little bit of a background on it. At least in Israel, the thing with shakshuka is kind of that people make it like on the go. Like a lot of people here are super into like hiking and all that stuff. And when you go on a hike, like you wake up really early in the morning and you gotta go, you gotta get things done, but you take some vegetables and eggs, whatever, in a backpack, and you like make your breakfast while you're like watching the sunrise or like in the middle of a hike, whatever. And this is kind of that. You just kind of cut everything up. Today, obviously, I've had everyone prepare the ingredients before, I hope, just to make it easier. But basically, you can cut it big, you can cut it small, doesn't matter. I like to cut it small because that way the sauce is a little bit more smooth. So this is kind of how I have my setup. So you have like onions, tomatoes, garlic. I am going for the spicy pepper because that's my thing. My red pepper, parsley. And I'm only making 3 eggs for myself today because it is only for myself and my boyfriend. The rest of my roommates are, I don't know, having dinner elsewhere. So I forgot to mention olive oil is a really important starter. In Israel, we pretty much cook only with olive oil. Only frying is kind of done with canola oil. So yeah, so let's just go ahead and get started. So I already have my pan over here with my lid. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start heating my pan, and I suggest everybody else kind of does the same. Because you need your pan to be pretty hot. This is basically a kind of stew that just becomes a whole like impressive looking dish. So I'm gonna heat my pan. I would say I'm gonna put it on like medium high heat, just because right now we're gonna brown some onions. Obviously everything good starts with onion and garlic, so that's obviously how we're gonna start this now too. Do we have any questions up until now? No. Okay. Yes. Iman. Yes.
I was wondering, while the oil is heating up, if you could tell everybody where you learned this shakshuka, this particular one, and why you were there.
So I learned how to make my shakshuka recipe in the army. I moved from the States to Canada. I studied for a year, didn't like it, moved to Israel, joined the army. And suddenly I was like with all these people, all I've ever known in my life kind of are like Ashkenaz people, okay? We don't cook with too much cumin. We don't cook with too many spices. It's like classic, like Polish food. No offense. I love your cooking, Bubby. I do. I love it. This is just different for me. I was in the army with a lot of people who were Mizrahi. So basically what that means is a lot of spice, a lot of spices, peppers, cumin, everything. So I learned to eat really spicy food and I like it that way. So this is basically one of my commanders in the army. We were like on base one day. He's like, okay, we're going to make breakfast for everybody. I was like, okay, like obviously I'm going to help you. And so he taught me to make the shakshuka, literally on base for my whole like brigade, I think you can call it. So yeah, I hope everybody is heating their pan and a little bit of olive oil, kind of as much as you would normally use to just fry any kind of onions. Maybe I'll move this over a little bit so you can see what I'm doing.
Adi, how many
Yeah.
people are in a brigade?
In mine total, we were separated into smaller units, but my overall brigade, I think, would say was around 50 people. So we made like 3 large things of shakshuka for everybody. And we would kind of do this on a regular basis. Like from then on, it was just kind of a thing. We would have these breakfasts together and it was really fun. It was like kind of a bonding thing for the whole army. I'm gonna open a window because we're about to fry some onions. Okay, so the onions are going in. So make sure your pan is hot, the olive oil is in. So I like to let my onions cook for a good amount of time because obviously the longer you let them cook, the sweeter they're gonna be. And ultimately that just makes everything taste better because onions are just the most supreme of vegetable in terms of taste. So we're just gonna let these sizzle for a little longer. So I'm gonna warn everybody today, I will be using a lot more garlic and a lot more cumin than everybody else is probably used to. So take it at your own kind of pace. That's just my personal preference. Everything here is pretty much my personal preference, and you can pretty much add as much or as little as you want. So I use 1 onion right now, and after that, once it's a little gold, I'm gonna be using, this is about 5 cloves of garlic. And again, that's just me, but I love garlic. So we're gonna just sweat these out for a little bit.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Garlic is sauteing. This is an unprepared question. When did you shift between just eating like bread and potatoes and rice to like colorful food? And do you have a memory of that? Like when food became wow, like a passion? That's all.
I don't really know when I switched from like bland to not bland, but I know that when I moved here, I had to start actually cooking much more. I moved here with like my garin, kind of a group of people from the east side of the US who moved here with me to a kibbutz in northern Israel. And at that point, we kind of had to like fend for ourselves. Like we had to cook all our own meals, and we were like 25 people, and we were all cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sometimes there was like the cafeteria that was open for us, but a lot of the time we just kind of had to cook our own food. And at some point I got sick of eating like, I don't know, people's stews and like casseroles. And I was like, okay, we need to start eating good food. It'll help us out. So I don't know when I exactly made the switch, but I know that ever since I've gotten here, I kind of had to make good food in order to eat good food because I lived in the middle of nowhere. So this is kind of where that came from, I guess.
You mean when you lived up in the kibbutz in the north?
Yeah,
Galil.
before I came here.
And turned out to be a chef there. A kitchen.
So I'm going to ask you another question while people's onions and garlic are sauteing. Do you still have another couple of minutes to do that? I don't want to interrupt. Is it still a couple of more minutes of sauteing?
Yeah.
Okay, so being in a Dutch Shalom program today, we also wanted to know what your connection has been in the past.
My into a Dutch Shalom, I went to Torah school, not like from the beginning, but I did go for a good amount of years. I did my bat mitzvah at a Dutch Shalom with Rabbi Fred and Cantor Rachel. I met some of my really, really good friends at a Dutch Shalom who I'm still in contact with, even though they live across the ocean, but it's fine. And I also was like a madricha. I was a helper in the Torah school. I was also a Hebrew tutor in the Torah school. And so, you know, this is a way to give back to the community. Or however you call it.
We're very grateful. I wish Zoom could have us smell what you're cooking. I see Adora's in the kitchen. Who else is in the kitchen? Galit, your aunt from Toronto, Jeej. I don't know, is there anyone else who's
Here,
actually?
Susan Schaefer. she's
Yeah, I don't
cooking.
think she's cooking. I think she's studying with us online. So I know we're gonna make it, I'm gonna make it after this Zoom.
I'm adding in my garlic for those following. I've let them kind of sweat out a little bit. They're getting a little bit clear now, and I'm gonna add my garlic to make it smell really, really good. So mix in your garlic. And soon, what we're gonna do is go ahead and add in our spices and tomato paste. So basically something that not a lot of people know, or at least something I didn't learn until recently, is that tomato paste, you gotta cook it out. Like you have to cook it, and it is not just like a quick fix tomato sauce thing. It's something that does require a little bit of cook time because it really deepens the flavor. It really makes a difference. And I'm a huge fan of tomato paste. This is kind of the one that I'm using, just the regular one. It's like a little container of it. So we're gonna let this garlic cook for just a minute or two because we don't want it to burn. Again, medium heat, not too high, because we don't want anything to burn.
For the latecomers, what do you have in there so far?
So far, we have in here just onion and garlic, and we're about to put in some spices and tomato paste.
Hi, Greg. Good morning. Welcome.
So now that our garlic has been in for like, I would say a minute and a half or so, it's starting to smell really good. I'm gonna go ahead and start adding some cumin. In Hebrew, it's the same, it's just kamun. I'm gonna add in a good amount of shakes, and I'm probably gonna end up adding a little bit more later because that's just my preference. So spices also need some time to cook out. Also something I didn't know until I started really cooking a lot. I'm also adding in some thyme, just because that goes well together. I'm gonna put in some fresh peppercorns, but grated, so it's not too crazy. And a little bit of salt.
Adi, feel free to say the words in Hebrew. This being the Israel Connection Committee, you can teach us some Hebrew too.
Okay. Melech, pilpel, kamun, v'timin. And my favorite is smoked paprika, which I did think I wrote because this is honestly the best stuff. Honestly. I have a few spoons here ready. I'm gonna add about half a spoon. It is a strong flavor, but it really makes a huge difference, and it's so good. So the spices need to cook for about 30 seconds or so with the onion and the garlic. So you're gonna mix that in. Now you're gonna start getting that kind of shakshuka smell, even without the tomatoes, even without the tomato paste. This is kind of what the smell that you're familiar with is. It's these spices, garlic, and onion. So once everything is kind of, I'll show you what mine looks like. A little bit yellowed, the cumin is all in there. Now we're gonna go in with our tomato paste. So I'm just gonna use this whole container because it's kind of the best measurement. I mean, there's not really anything bad to it, but we are gonna cook this for a good five or so minutes because you can't really overcook it, and the longer you cook it, the deeper the flavor. So that's in. You just want to mix it in with everything, and it'll be a little lumpy, but that's fine.
One of us, did you read Shauna, what she wrote about her garlic?
I also usually, if this is right today, I'm just making a smaller shakshuka, but usually if it's for a full size for like 4 to 6 people, I'll also use about 7, 8 cloves. Not everybody loves it, but it's for me. So whatever. Personal preference. So you really want to mix that in, and you kind of want to stay on top of it so it doesn't burn. It's going to be a little bit clumpy, but again, that's fine. And you really just want to make sure everything is cooking out. Because there is a certain rawness of flavor that kind of comes with using tomato paste. And once you cook it more and more, it kind of becomes a little bit sweet, which is what you want. It's ideal.
Any questions from the chefs or the witnesses today? If you have any, feel free to write it in the chat or just raise your hand or interrupt. I think interrupting is Israeli pretty much, so probably that's the way. Right?
We made shakshuka last weekend, but we cheated heavily. My wife found a jar in the grocery store of shakshuka mix, basically, and we just spiced it up from there and just added eggs, and we added all sorts of different things. But it was sort of a kitchen sink shakshuka. But I think that's what you can do, right, with shakshuka.
Definitely. You can add in whatever. Sometimes I add in spinach. You can add in kale, like beans. I've seen also comes here like a white shakshuka that's made with like pinto beans, I think, and like all kinds of cheese and whatever. Like you can make it however. This is just like the classic Mizrahi shakshuka type thing. But however you wish.
I just want to add to Greg's story that, Adi, I didn't tell you this yet, and I'm going to whisper this, but Trader Joe's sells shakshuka in the frozen section. And someone told me about that recently, and all you need to do is cook it and add an egg. I bought a box just to see what that looks like, but it's called Trader Joe's shakshuka, FYI.
I think people are jumping on the bandwagon. They found something that they can, like if they can package tomato sauce as shakshuka mix, then like they're happy to slap that label on there. Like I see a lot of things that are labeled sriracha now because of the popularity of the hot sauce. So I think it's marketing.
Okay. My paste looks pretty cooked out. First, I'm gonna go in with the peppers, the red pepper that I cut up. As you can see, everything I've cut up is pretty small just because that's how I like it, because it's smoother sauce. But for example, when I'm hiking, like on trips and stuff, and we want to make a shakshuka, then it's definitely not this organized or nicely cut at all. It's definitely going to be more of a cut it up as quick as you can so we can eat as fast as we can type deal. So yeah, that's a little bit where it differs. So now I put in the red pepper, and I'm putting in this much spicy green pepper. It's not a jalapeno. It's just a spicy green pepper. Jalapenos here aren't really as much of a thing. So every kind of pepper you have, you can also use whatever color pepper. I'm just going with the red theme. We're gonna cook that out a little bit.
Adi, sorry to interrupt, but I didn't hear you talk about the chili flakes. Should we be putting those in now too?
Yeah, so you can put those in. I'm just personally using the spicy pepper instead, but you can go ahead and put them in whenever, like at whatever point, if you feel like you need more chili flakes, you can cook them out. I personally don't always feel the need to because they have a really great flavor on their own, but add in your chili flakes. Go for it. I just decided I had a green pepper anyway, so that's why I decided to use that. And I like things spicy. If there's anything else I miss, call me out. 'Cause I am forgetful. So we're not gonna cook these peppers all the way down because they are gonna simmer in with the tomatoes, right? So I see you're asking about the tomatoes. Peppers are just a harder vegetable, so we're gonna add in first the peppers, which we just did, and now we're gonna add in the tomatoes. The peppers, I just wanna give them a quick kind of cook before because they do take a little longer to soften than tomatoes. Tomatoes cook in pretty quickly. So I'm gonna go in with my pre-cut tomatoes now. Just dump it all in. That's the thing. It's just a repetition of dump and mix.
So Adi, you grew up with a little bit of French in your life. Can you explain everybody that expression that you wanted to keep in the recipe that comes from the French language that's very important to you and why?
I think what you're referring to is the mise en place. And that's just where you set up all your ingredients pre-cut and pre-organized in little bowls, which I actually got from Amazon, one of the best presents I've ever gotten. I have this little set and I love using it. It helps keep everything organized and you can see it all in front of your eyes and it looks really pretty. And then when you're ready to cook, everything is ready. You just throw it in and it really helps you make sure that you're not missing any ingredients and you're not like, I don't know, using too much, using too little. Everything is pre-portioned. You also taste as you go, obviously, but that's kind of what I like about it.
Adi,
Yeah.
a couple of people are asking questions.
Mhm.
Can you use canned
Let's
tomatoes?
Canned tomatoes, of course, definitely, for sure. Type A cooking.
And then Malka
Canned
was surprised that they were even using tomatoes.
Hmm?
Malka apparently was surprised that you're even using tomatoes at all. That's a key ingredient in shakshuka.
No. She was asking when to put it in.
She was asking
Ah,
why I said about the peppers that they first go in because they need a little bit more cooking time, and then you add in the regular tomatoes. Canned tomatoes would work just fine. I just prefer real tomatoes because the tomatoes here taste really good. So I don't mind going to my vegetable store across the street and like buying a few. Yeah, I just prefer to use as many fresh ingredients. I also get they have a lot of really good like veggie crates that you can order here. So my roommates and I do that too. And we get a lot of really great produce that's grown in Israel. So that's also really nice. Okay, so at this point, everything is mixed in. And I like to add a little bit of lemon, like a squeeze. I have half a lemon here already. I also love lemon as much as I love garlic. So again, personal preference. I'm gonna add a little bit of lemon, make sure there's no seeds that are going in there. And you're gonna start to see that the tomatoes are gonna slowly begin releasing their juices, which is what you want. And also feel free to add in a little bit of water if you want it to kind of steam a little bit more, because soon we're gonna cover this up with the lid and have a little bit of cooking time. Doesn't take a lot, but I'm gonna add in a few splashes of water just because I like to, but you don't have to, because they'll let it out in time. So should look like this. And you kind of just want to spread it out evenly so that everything kind of will get cooked at the same rate. And you can see it's kind of starting to simmer. The juices are coming out. So now I'm going to go ahead. Thank you for coming, Alton. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cover it. And we're just gonna go ahead and let that simmer. I'm on a pretty low fire, I would say. Low to medium, because you don't want it to burn on the bottom. That's also something that can happen, and that sucks. So you definitely want, you definitely want to keep it on a pretty low to medium fire for now while it simmers out. Yeah. In the meanwhile, I have my eggs out that are going to be ready to go in soon. I have my cut up parsley. I'm going to put some parsley in soon, and then a little bit I'm going to leave to put on top. And I'm going to get out my feta because I love to put feta on my shakshuka, obviously optional. Feta or whatever kind of cheese, mozzarella some people put. But I really like feta, or here we have something really similar to feta called bulgarit, which is also like a brick kind of hard, soft cheese thing that's really nice.
There's a question here from your Savta. Is this a good time?
No,
Yeah.
wait. And when you have simmering time, if you have simmering time, you have time for that? Okay, first of all, thank you. It's just delicious. And I can smell it already, and especially the garlic. And I wonder where you got this slap for garlic. But that's this is an aside. Since you're such a daring chef, I'm coming from really from the left side. When you make such a wonderful sauce, you know, with all this fresh veggie and all that, did you ever try maybe to put a piece of like a piece of salmon, fish, or something like this in that same sauce, or maybe meat, use meat, or in that wonderful basic base? This is the basic sauce, because this you prepare for the eggs, you know. But maybe in that wonderful thing, did you ever try something else, or is it
So
called?
I mean, that's a good question. Fish, I've never really done because I prepare fish, I don't know, usually in a different way. There's also like Moroccan fish that's really popular here that's cooked in a really similar way, like what Safta was saying. Moroccan fish is kind of that, red sauce with a lot of peppers, tomatoes, whatever. I have done it with meat. There are shakshuka that they put in like chorizos, like sausage, which is really, really good. And I've done it with like a leftover bolognese that I've had, like a meat sauce. And that was just because it was available to me and I wanted to eat it. So I just put it in. You can pretty much put anything in. I'm sure you could put in fish. I personally prefer, I think, a meatier flavor with tomato sauce than fish, but that's just me. But yeah, you can definitely.
I just wanted to know from you that it was kosher to make other variations of the wonderful sauce that you prepared.
Of course, it's kosher.
That's all I cared.
Kosher. I think if you lift your top on your pans right now, you'll see that it's really becoming.
Safta says thank you.
Oh, thank you, Bobby.
No,
You'll see it.
whoever else is cooking, we want to see yours as well. So Adora, I think you look like you're cooking, and we want to see what else, whatever yummy stuff is going on in other people's kitchens.
I just want to make sure that everyone has it.
Nice. Oh, look at that. Oh, right. I like the relish of Adora's relish.
And also, if you're here to just write down the recipe, that's fine too. I get it.
Everybody got the recipe. I should have recipe Adi
Yeah.
in the link. Yeah, in the email.
Shanna wants to know about adding potatoes. I don't know. I am a crispy potatoes girl, so this will not give you crispy potatoes. I'm sure you could add potatoes, and if you do, feel free to let me know how it comes out. I'm sure it'll be delicious. I mean, potatoes are good pretty much anyway, but I am definitely a crispy potato person. So I've never really tried that.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, sweetheart. Thank you
Hi,
so much for
sweetie.
doing this. Mwah. Can you do a video on crispy potatoes, please?
Oh my God, for sure. Easiest thing. So good.
Super. Can't wait. Thank you.
Okay,
Great.
I'll see you then.
Great.
Me too.
Dee, I added zucchini. I hope you're okay with that.
Of course, zucchini, amazing. Any vegetable, like seriously, I've added eggplant before. Eggplant is amazing. My boyfriend just doesn't eat eggplant, so that's why I'm where I am right now. But
And
I have
definitely no mushrooms. Definitely no mushrooms.
definitely no mushrooms. Yeah. But eggplant, zucchini, any kind of vegetable that will easily cook down. Like carrots, I would less recommend, but you probably could also put in carrots. I don't know. I've made it with also like a leek. I think it's called a leek, a krisha, the long thing. You can throw that in.
Why
Literally,
no mushrooms?
I don't like mushrooms.
Why no mushrooms?
I don't eat mushrooms. It's it's the feeling. I don't like it. I don't like the feeling.
The
Doesn't do me.
texture, the
The
texture.
texture.
But eggplant is kind of,
I know, but the eggplant, I feel like it cooks down into a sauce really well. The eggplant can really melt, you know? And mushrooms just don't do that. And it's been hard. I won't lie, you know? It's been a hard time. I'm trying. Listen, I won't not eat something because of mushrooms in it, but I definitely won't make something with mushrooms for myself. You know, I'm doing my best. So I would lift my lid every few minutes to stir it just to make sure we really don't want the bottom to get burned, because that kind of ruins the whole flavor. But you're starting to see that it's getting really saucy. And at this point, I would taste for if you need more salt, if it needs more pepper, if you want to add some more lemon, paprika, whatever. This is your time to taste a little bit and see if it needs anything else. Always more salt, always. So I'm gonna mix that in.
Adi, I've got to tell you, I'm not much of a cook, and I'm learning more about cooking from you in this last, however long, 40 minutes, than I probably have the whole rest of my life. The other thing I wanted to say is that Trader Joe's sells some nice Israeli feta.
Oh my God, amazing. I'm also having feta, but I think they call it feta yavanit, which is actually Greek feta. So I'll have my Greek feta and you can have the more authentic one.
It's better than the Bulgari?
oh, he's asking a question.
Bobby wanted me to use Bulgari.
No, is the Yavanit better than the Bulgari?
Oh,
The
I don't know. What
The
caught my eye?
Bulgari is top feta to me.
This is I think I don't remember if it's high fat or low fat. I think it's a high fat feta, which I like. 21%. I like
Also,
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Also, is one cheese from sheep and another from goat and another from dairy? From a cow?
Interesting.
I don't know. Let's read about it. Oh, it's actually in Arabic, so I don't know. I can't read that.
Trader Joe's is sheep.
Sheep? I think this is cow.
And by the way, that Trader Joe's, did you say that, Adora? It actually comes from Israel? Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Maybe you can get Trader Joe's feta cheese.
Oh, this is sheep.
Israel.
This is good. Nice. This is sheep feta. it's made in Israel, but they call it Greek feta. I think it's a marketing thing. All right. So I want this to simmer a little bit more, but I'm gonna add in, I would say a little bit over half of my parsley at this point, because it is getting there. It is becoming the consistency that we want. So I like parsley. I'm gonna add in a good amount of parsley right now. Mix that in. Some people also add sugar to their shakshukas. If you want to, you're welcome. It'll give it a bit of a sweeter, salty type flavor. Today I'm just not going to do that, but I'd give this another 5 or so minutes and I think we'll be ready to add in the eggs. So stay tuned.
Marie, Adi, can you tell us anything about your life in Israel? Do you mind? I know it's not cooking, but, or maybe it is.
I finished the army almost a year ago, and I started doing some private events like cooking in people's houses. My biggest one, I think I catered a little bat mitzvah during one of the lockdowns in the kibbutz for like 13 little girls, and I made them an Asian fusion night, which was really fun. I also made like these American pulled chicken sandwiches for the kibbutz, which was fun. And then about 6 months ago, I moved to outside Tel Aviv, Givatayim, where I live now. And I started working at a bar as their cook at this bar. And that was fun and crazy. And I learned a lot of new recipes and stuff. And now I am a waitress, and sometimes I help with events at the restaurant that I work at now. With like all these different chefs in the kitchen for special events. And yeah, now I just work and I'm saving for a long trip, the classic after army trip to Asia, hopefully in the next year. And living here with 2 of my roommates who are my best friends from my garin, my group from my kibbutz. And we all like to cook. We all cook together a lot. We recently had a Thanksgiving meal here, which was really fun. We had about 11 people over for this big Thanksgiving thing. And yeah, just living and working on my Hebrew.
Hey, Aditi. Let people know in the chat the name of your restaurant, and if anyone's going to Israel, maybe winter break or soon with that
I work
Omicron, and they can call and see if they can see you.
Yeah. I work at a restaurant called Reviva Vasilia. It's a pretty old restaurant. I work at the Tel Aviv location. Definitely come visit for breakfast. It's a really nice kind of cafe vibe. So I waitress there, and I work sometimes at the events upstairs in the kitchen. Yeah. Is everybody's shakshuka saucy? I just want to make sure. Thanks, Cheryl.
Shauna has a question. She has her hand up.
Yes, speak. You don't need your hand.
Okay.
Feel free.
Yeah, this is so interesting. I wanted to ask a couple things. There's such a difference between being the chef and working in a restaurant in other places. So I was curious what of those roles you like the best. And I also wanted to ask if, thinking about what someone mentioned about the shakshuka that Trader Joe's has in the freezer, if we wanted to make a big batch of the shakshuka and add the eggs, you know, later on? What is a good, I mean, could we freeze it? And is there a good time to freeze it, like before the parsley, after the parsley, so we can sort of defrost and add the eggs?
Okay, that's two very good questions. Okay, so the first one, being the chef, like when I would do my private events, it's a ton of work. It's a ton of organizing and planning and budgeting, and like I had to like write an invoice. Like I've never done that in my life. And you have to be on top of it and make sure you don't forget anything, and like it's really crazy. So that's more fun in terms of being able to be more creative with the menu and working one-on-one with your client and kind of catering to their needs specifically. And when you're a cook in a kitchen of a restaurant or a bar or whatever, and you have the head chef telling you, this is how to make this is what you do. It's a little bit more like, first of all, definitely more fast paced and longer hours usually. And also maybe a little bit more like mindless, but definitely more fun because you're working with other people and waiters and waitresses and customers that are coming into the kitchen and telling you, wow, this was amazing. And you're like, thanks. I mean, it's not my recipe, but you know, thank you. I made it. So I don't know. I think a mix of both is a really good way to go, because one lets you be more creative, but definitely a bigger headache. And the other one is kind of more like free flowing and mindless, but still fun because you get to work with your knife and cook things up and fry stuff and, you know, all the things. So to answer your second question, by the way, I'm lowering my heat a little bit here because I don't want the shakshuka to burn. To answer your second question, wait, I want to give this a stir. So I've never done the make ahead, freeze and reheat shakshuka thing, just because I feel like that's just less of a concept here in Israel, where produce is really readily available almost everywhere. Like vegetables are just more of a thing. I don't know how else to explain it, but I definitely didn't used to eat the same amount of vegetables as I do now. Like this is basically just a hot salad, you know, a cooked down salad with no lettuce or whatever. And it's my whole dinner. This is my dinner. So I guess if you wanted to do it, I mean, if Trader Joe's did it, I guess anyone can do it. So I would assume you can just make it all the way and just freeze it as is, because parsley can freeze in with soup. So I don't know why it wouldn't be able to freeze with shakshuka. I guess just anything up until the eggs, you can put it in. You do have to wait for stuff to cool down before you put it in the freezer, of course, because that, you know, helps with also bacteria and all that kind of stuff. But I guess you can just put it as is in like a box and let it sit out for an hour and freeze it and then reheat it another day. But just in my opinion, I probably wouldn't do that because I like it fresh and it's just best made and eaten as fresh as possible, right, Nate? Right when you make it. But thank you for your questions. Okay, soon. So eggs. So I don't know how many eggs everybody else is using. Currently, I'm using 3.
Adi, are you still there?
Adi, you muted.
Oh.
I'm
that's right.
muted.
Yeah, I didn't hear the sizzling.
All I said was, I hope everyone's shakshuka is looking pretty saucy. It doesn't have to be like super smooth. That's not the point. It's just, it has to have a little bit of sauce. That's pretty much it. So I'm ready almost to go in. Do you see that? It's all really coming together nicely, as are the sirens in the background. So I'm gonna go ahead and flatten this out. And what I'm gonna do now is you basically have to make little dents in where you want to put the eggs. And I like to space them out pretty well. And you want to be careful not to put the dent all the way down. So I have a pretty thin pan, but still I can make a dent. Doesn't have to be too big. 3 little dents, not touching the bottom of the pan because the egg will burn. So I'm making 3 little dents where I'm planning on cracking the eggs. So I have 1, 2, and 3. So, you know, I would just recommend cracking the eggs into a bowl and then slipping them in, just because that'll prevent any kind of shells going in, mistakes, whatever. And you have to be careful. You don't want the yolk to break. I know that's like, it's hard, but I believe in everyone here. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my eggs. I'll crack them into a bowl. I don't always do this, but I will today because why not? So I have my egg in my bowl, and I'm just gonna go ahead and slip it just really slowly into one of the little dents that I've already made. So the egg knows where it's supposed to go. That's just guiding it into its little nook where it's gonna cook for the next 7 to 15 minutes, depending on how hard you like your eggs. I have my second egg in here. I'm gonna put it in.
Adi, will this work? If I want a completely hard yolk, will this still work? And I just cook it longer?
Yeah, just cook it longer. I just personally love my eggs like raw. Like I would eat a raw egg if I could. Poached eggs are the best way. That's my favorite. It's not for you, it's not for you. That's my thing. I'm gonna make mine pretty soft, I think, but if you want it harder, just cook it for an extra 5 minutes or so. It cooks pretty fast, so you have to be on it.
Too late.
Hands of raw egg.
There's a question here
No,
or a
no, too
comment.
late, too late.
It's too late.
Okay, yes, question.
So can you just, did you show us what it looks like in the pan?
Dense, that is a pro tip. Yeah, let me show you guys what the dents
Thanks.
really maintain its good looks. Like, do you see right where I made the dents? The yolk stayed. The white can go wherever it wants. I don't really care. But as long as the yolk stays where it's supposed to be, you know it's kind of gonna turn out good. So I have these 3 in here. My cheese, I'm waiting till the last minute or so to put on. So for now, I'm just gonna cover it up. And I'm gonna give it around 5 to 7 minutes or so to cook, maybe. We're gonna see, we're gonna check. Kind of just have to be on it. And the way that you check is by pushing on the egg to see how soft it is. There's no other way to it. You just have to push it. So that's what we're gonna do. So I make this shakshuka pretty much when I have a lot of people over. We have a lot of friends that like to come and sleep over, and it's a really good breakfast to make for a big amount of people without a lot of work. So that's another time that I really like to make it. Again, we're gonna leave this on low to medium heat because we don't want the bottom to burn. That isn't gonna be super tasty. But it really can feed a lot. It's super filling. And at this time, I think I asked everybody also to have bread because you can't really eat your shakshuka with bread. I'm gonna heat my oven because I want it to be crusty. And I just picked up a baguette today, but usually I'll use any kind of sourdough loaf, whatever. So I'm just gonna put this in the oven once my oven is heated. And that way it'll be nice and toasty to dip into our shakshuka.
I have a question. You're gonna have your shakshuka done, and do you have to eat it right away, or can you wait?
I would eat it right away. Yeah, I would eat it right away. I'll probably start eating because I don't really know when my boyfriend's gonna come home, but I'm gonna just eat it by myself and he'll come when he comes. You can also reheat it in the microwave, yeah, but like whatever. It's definitely best served as quick as possible. And that's why it's made on hikes and for just a quick thing. Like you can cook this on one of those little coffee makers that they have, the little portable fire things.
Say it in Hebrew and someone will translate.
Pakal cafe that you take to you boil your little mocha pot of coffee on it usually, and there's a fire, so a lot of times people just put a pan on it, and that's how you cook when you're walking around.
You're eating this now for dinner, right?
Yeah, for dinner.
I think that a lot of people here might be surprised. It's pretty common in Israel to have
It's
shakshuka for dinner,
Yeah, definitely.
even for, for a whole family, because they eat their larger meal generally either in the middle of the day or the early afternoon.
Right. I mean, this is a pretty filling meal, but it's still light because it really is it's just vegetables. Like there's not really anything else to it. An egg. So it's a really good dinner and breakfast kind of thing. And a lot of people eat it for any kind of meal. Like I said, it's really popular in like usually more Moroccan, Libyan, like Yemenite families this way. That's kind of the culture of the people who taught me. And there's even another way of making shakshuka where they actually make a dough. They bake almost like a circular bread, and then they'll make the sauce and put the sauce in the middle of the bread and then just cook it all in the oven together. And then it's just like a pull apart shakshuka thing, but that's for another day if you want dough making lessons.
So I think I just wanted to add maybe what Karen was saying is in Israel, it's very common to have, well, dairy related or vegetables in the evening and in the morning too for breakfast. Right. I was wondering if you were going to cut up your salad with us too, or we just have to practice cutting and chopping those tomatoes and cucumbers.
Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted like all the pre-cutting stuff to happen, because I just like to cut everything really, really tiny. And I kind of already had my salad for today, but usually this would be served with an Israeli salad on the side, almost always. Tomato, cucumber, some pepper also, lemon, olive oil, salt, pepper, and you mix it up and you just eat that. And the Israeli thing is really just cutting the salad as tiny and tiny and tiny as possible. That's like the biggest thing. Like, oh, your salad is cut so small. That is so impressive, you know.
There's another question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So bread in the oven and Safta?
Mm-hmm.
Mama, did you try to put, just thinking, like olives into that sauce as well? Did you ever try that? Is it?
I'm sure you could, yeah.
Permissible, but I want to know if you tried it.
Yeah, I don't know. Olives are more of a thing that I like to eat alongside something and not necessarily in stuff too much, because I think the olive flavor sometimes is really overpowering. Really, especially here, all the olives are really like heavily soaked and seasoned kind of. So I just prefer them on their own, like as a snack or with cheese or with like a beer. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of bars have
Thank you. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Just keeping an eye on your eggs. I'm just lightly tapping the tops of my eggs. And you might also have to move your pan around just to make sure that the fire is kind of getting everything evenly. So like I just checked now. And my first egg here is kind of getting harder quicker than the other two. And also be mindful that this will continue cooking a little bit even after you take it off the heat, because it's really hot and the eggs will kind of soak that all in. So just because I like my eggs a little bit softer, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna really lower this down, and I'm gonna add on my feta on top, and obviously spill the juice everywhere. So I'm gonna take a block about this big, and I'm just gonna crumble it all over the top. As much as you want, as little as you want. I'll probably also eat some on the side because I'm obsessed with feta and it's so good. And then you want to just cover that right back up. And it's gonna melt in like 10 seconds.
Thank you,
Adi?
Adi. I'm gonna jump off. Enjoy, everybody, and I'll definitely use dents next time we make our shakshuka.
Thanks for joining.
Okay.
Thank you. Adi, I
Yes.
think it was Shana wanted to know if there is another word or a translation for shakshuka in Hebrew.
There's not another word necessarily. I think the translation, like the literal translation, is kind of like I think the root is leshakshek, which is like to mix and kind of stir, because that's pretty much all you do in this. Like you're just mixing, stirring, kind of everything up. And that's the point, is to just have a really easy, like mixable one pot type deal for a meal. So le shakshek is just to kind of mix, like shake kind of thing.
I just looked it up before you asked, Shana, because I was curious also. This is Karen. And it said shakshuka in Latin letters. It's basically, North African poached eggs.
Yeah. So it's meant to be served a little bit soft, but obviously for those who like it harder, you totally can. And my cheese is melty. I'm gonna just add the rest of my parsley on top, because a little bit of parsley never hurt. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull my bread out of the oven. This can already go on the table. My bread is nice and warmed. And I'll give you guys a money shot soon. All right. So basically, have my bread nice and crusted, and this is the finished product right here.
Oh my God. Can I come over?
Everybody's welcome.
Can I come over?
Amazing.
Larger pan.
Do you usually serve like one egg per person? Like, it depends, one or two per person.
I can't really eat more than one egg. The other two are for either a roommate of mine who want to come over, or like I said, my boyfriend when he gets back. I'm just gonna cut up some of my bread here and have that ready. And you just kind of want to like get into it, it's so nice, like dipped like that. And then you just dip your bread into everything, into the egg yolk, and hopefully it's a little bit runny. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So so it has this sort of communal feel to it. Everyone's sitting around and takes some bread and just kind of digs in.
For sure.
That's lovely. That's beautiful. B'teavon.
Thank you. And b'teavon to everybody else eating this for breakfast, lunch, whatever time zone you're in.
I wanted to know if Edora's is done. I think Galit, Gij is done, just to see.
Let's see their
where you're at.
production.
Yeah.
I see a Rocky. Come, let's show them my.
Hey, Adi.
Dora, want to see yours?
Oh my God.
Khalid? Khalid? Oh,
Beautiful.
Wow.
wow.
I put in the chat group, in the chat,
Yeah.
Orit's email address and my email address. We'd love to hear from you, either in the chat or via email after the fact. If you enjoyed this program, I don't mean to close it out, but I want to make sure I get this plug in before we do close it out. If you enjoyed it, what can we do better? Do you have any other ideas for our committee? So let's keep going because people have to savor their food. But I did want to make sure that people knew our email addresses are in the chat.
Bitavon Diamond.
Thank
Adi,
you.
I think you might have changed my life.
Thanks, Adi.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for cooking along or just following along, and let me know how yours turns out because everybody's is different.
So I'm curious to know how it changed your life, Adora.
Because I am a very insecure cook. I rarely cook, and I got a lot of confidence from this.
That's really nice to hear.
Yuffie.
Adi, little did you know that you would be giving a life-changing experience to someone.
For sure. Happy to. I mean, this is something that literally anybody can make. It's just the easiest, and as you can see, it looks so impressive, and you don't really do much. You really don't.
Thanks, Adi. There might be a new career there for you. Looking good.
I'll consider it.
She got a new career every few days. Collection.
Bye, Adi. Thank you.
Thanks,
To everyone. To everyone.
Everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bon
Bye,
appetit,
everyone.
but everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Hi,
Adora,
thank you.
taste yours?
Thanks, everyone. Adi,
Yeah.
We're
thank
waiting
you
for you to
so
taste
much.
yours.
You're
That was
welcome.
terrific.
Adi, did you taste yours already or not yet?
I'm gonna wait for Inbal. Will be home in a few minutes, and I'll wait for him.
Thank you so much. This was such a
Thank
great
you.
Susan. Thanks,
Wait,
everybody.
wait.
They're gonna sign off.
Oh, Susan. Oh,
Thanks, Karen.
okay.
Adi, love you. Thank you so much. Batavon. Talk to you
Thank
later.
Thank you. Thank you, Ori.
אבל
Yeah.
זה היה,
My pleasure. Thanks,
הייתה
Karen.
חגיגה,
Okay, bye-bye. Have a
והיה
great day.
נפלא. היה נפלא.
נכון.